You can stay calm when everyone else is losing control. You become dangerous to chaos. The world is constantly trying to pull a reaction out of you. Someone disrespects you. Someone ignores you. Someone lies about you. Someone challenges you. Something goes wrong. And immediately your mind tells you, react. Defend yourself. Explain yourself. Prove yourself. But what if you stopped? What if you took a breath? What if you looked at the situation without allowing the situation to control you? That is where real power begins. Welcome back to Inner Steel. If you are building a stronger mind, a calmer spirit, and a life where other people's behavior no longer controls your emotions, subscribe to Inner Steel and stay with us. Because today, we're talking about something most people underestimate. Calm is power. Not weakness. Not passiveness. Not fear. Power. The person who controls their emotions has an advantage over the person who is controlled by them. And throughout this video, we're going to explore the habits, lessons, and mindset shifts that can help you become that person. Stay until the end, because the final lesson may completely change the way you respond to pressure. 1. Stop reacting immediately. One of the greatest forms of self-control is learning to pause. You don't have to answer every message immediately. You don't have to respond to every insult. You don't have to defend yourself against every accusation. You don't have to make a decision while you're angry. Sometimes the strongest thing you can say is nothing. Imagine a man named Daniel. Daniel worked in an office where one of his colleagues constantly criticized him. One afternoon, during a meeting, the colleague said in front of everyone, "Daniel doesn't understand what he's doing. That's why his projects always fail." Daniel felt his heart accelerate. He wanted to respond. He wanted to embarrass the man. He wanted everyone in the room to know that the accusation wasn't fair. For a few seconds, Daniel stared at him. Then he took a breath. He simply said, "I'll address that when the meeting is finished." And he continued listening. After the meeting, Daniel discovered that the accusation had been based on incomplete information. Instead of creating a public argument, Daniel calmly showed the facts. His manager noticed. His colleagues noticed. And something important happened. Daniel didn't lose control. The other man had tried to control Daniel's emotions. Daniel refused to give him that power. That is calm. You need to understand something. A reaction is often a gift you give to someone else. When someone knows exactly how to make you angry, they know how to control you. If they can insult you and make you explode, they control you. If they can ignore you and make you desperate for attention, they control you. If they can criticize you and make you spend the entire night thinking about their words, they control you. But when you pause, you create distance between what happened and what you choose to do. That distance is power. Before you respond, breathe. Ask yourself, does this deserve my energy? Will my response improve anything? Am I responding because it is necessary, or because my ego was touched? That small pause can save you from years of unnecessary problems. Your goal isn't to become emotionless. Your goal is to stop allowing emotions to drive the car. Feel everything. Control your actions. That's strength. 2. Don't let other people's chaos become your chaos. Some people carry storms everywhere they go. They wake up angry. They complain. They create arguments. They blame everyone. They turn small problems into enormous problems. And if you're not careful, their emotional chaos will become yours. Think about standing beside someone who is shouting. Their voice gets louder. Your heart starts beating faster. Suddenly you're shouting too. Now 2 people are angry. But only one person started the problem. Why did you join them? Because emotional energy spreads. But calm spreads too. A mother once watched her teenage son come home furious. He had argued with one of his friends. He threw his backpack onto the floor and shouted, "Everyone is against me!" His mother could have shouted back. Instead, she sat down. She looked at him and said, "I can see you're angry. Sit down. We'll talk when you're ready." At first, the boy continued complaining. But there was nobody fighting him. There was nothing to push against. Eventually his voice became quieter. He sat down. And after several minutes, he explained what had actually happened. The problem wasn't as large as it first appeared. The mother's calmness created space for his emotions to settle. This is something you can practice every day. When someone raises their voice, lower yours. When someone becomes impatient, slow down. When someone wants to rush you into an emotional decision, pause. You don't have to match someone's energy. You can choose your own. Remember this. You don't have to enter every storm just because someone invited you. Sometimes peace is simply refusing to participate. 3. Learn to sit with discomfort. A calm person isn't someone who never experiences discomfort. A calm person learns how to experience discomfort without immediately escaping it. This is extremely important. Because many people destroy their future simply because they cannot tolerate temporary discomfort. They quit when things become difficult. They spend money because they feel stressed. They chase relationships because they feel lonely. They respond angrily because silence feels uncomfortable. They give up on their goals because progress feels slow. But growth requires discomfort. Imagine an athlete preparing for a major competition. During training, his body is exhausted. Every part of him wants to stop. But his coach tells him, "Don't confuse discomfort with danger." That sentence changes everything. He learns to distinguish between pain that signals injury and discomfort that signals growth. Your life is similar. Sometimes you need to sit with loneliness. Sometimes you need to sit with uncertainty. Sometimes you need to sit with criticism. Sometimes you need to sit with failure. You don't always need to immediately fix the feeling. You can simply experience it. Breathe. Observe. Learn. Continue. The next time you feel uncomfortable, don't immediately reach for your phone. Don't immediately call someone. Don't immediately argue. Don't immediately quit. Give yourself 5 quiet minutes. Tell yourself, "I can feel this without being controlled by it." That sentence can change your relationship with discomfort. Because eventually you realize you are stronger than the feeling. 4. Stop explaining yourself to everyone. One of the fastest ways to lose your peace is trying to make everyone understand you. You explain your intentions. You explain your decisions. You explain why you left. You explain why you said no. You explain why you changed. You explain why you stopped answering. And sometimes, no matter how clearly you explain yourself, someone has already decided to misunderstand you. There is a story about a man who decided to leave a business partnership. His partner demanded an explanation. The man gave one. The partner argued. So he gave another explanation. The partner found another objection. He explained again. After an hour, the man realized something. He wasn't explaining anymore. He was begging to be understood. And those are two different things. You should communicate when communication is necessary. But don't confuse communication with seeking permission to live your own life. There will always be someone who doesn't understand your choices. That's okay. You don't need universal approval. Sometimes silence communicates more confidence than 1,000 explanations. If your actions are responsible, your conscience is clear, and your decision is right for you, you don't need to convince everyone. Let people think. Let people talk. Let them create their own stories. Your peace is more valuable than their approval. 5. Master the power of the pause. Between an event and your response is a tiny space. Inside that space is your freedom. Someone says something offensive. Pause. Someone sends an angry message. Pause. Someone makes an accusation. Pause. Someone disappoints you. Pause. The pause isn't weakness. The pause is where you regain control. Imagine receiving a message at midnight. It says, "I can't believe you did that. You're selfish. Don't ever contact me again." You read it. Your first instinct is to respond. You type a paragraph. Delete it. Write another. Add anger. Add explanations. Add accusations. Then you remember your own rule. Never respond while emotionally flooded. You put the phone down. You sleep. The next morning, you read the message again. Suddenly, you don't feel the same intensity. You realize that half of what you wanted to say was emotional. So you respond differently? Maybe you don't respond at all. That is the power of the pause. A few minutes can prevent a decision that takes years to repair. Make this a rule. When emotions rise, speed decreases. Don't make permanent decisions during temporary emotional storms. Don't send messages while furious. Don't make promises while excited. Don't end relationships while angry. Pause. Calm down. Then decide. 6. Your face doesn't have to show everything you feel. There is strength in emotional discipline. This doesn't mean pretending. It means learning that every emotion doesn't require an immediate performance. Someone can disappoint you without seeing you fall apart. Someone can provoke you without watching you explode. Someone can criticize you without seeing you become defensive. You can feel deeply while remaining composed. A businessman once lost an important contract. His team expected him to panic. Instead, he walked into the office and said, "We lost this opportunity. Let's understand why." No screaming. No blaming. No dramatic speech. Just analysis. His employees became calmer because their leader was calm. And that's an important lesson. Your emotional state affects the people around you. When you remain composed during difficulty, people trust you more. They know, this person can handle pressure. That reputation is valuable. Anyone can appear confident when everything is going well. Real character becomes visible when things go wrong. 7. Don't argue with people who want chaos. Not every argument deserves your participation. Some people aren't looking for truth. They're looking for reaction. They ask questions so they can attack your answer. They don't want understanding. They want conflict. You need to recognize the difference. A young man once got into an argument online. Someone insulted him. He responded. The other person insulted him again. He responded again. This continued for nearly an hour. Eventually he looked at the screen and realized, I'm arguing with someone who doesn't even know me. He closed the application. Nothing happened. The world continued. The sun came up the next morning. His life was exactly the same. But he had learned something valuable. Not every battle deserves your energy. You can win an argument and lose your peace. You can prove you're right and still waste your entire evening. You can have the final word and still accomplish nothing. Sometimes the smartest response is, I understand your perspective. And then walk away. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. 8. Control your breath to control your state. Your body and mind are connected. When you're stressed, your breathing changes. When you're angry, your body prepares for confrontation. When you're afraid, your heart accelerates. But the relationship works both ways. You can use your breathing to help calm your body. When pressure rises, slow your breathing. Take a deep breath. Hold briefly. Then breathe out slowly. Do it again. And again. You're telling your nervous system, we are not in immediate danger. Imagine someone sitting outside a room waiting for an important interview. His hands are sweating. His thoughts are racing. He imagines everything going wrong. Then he notices his breathing. He slows it down. He sits upright. He stops looking at his phone. He takes 5 deliberate breaths. His circumstances haven't changed. But his internal state has changed. That's the lesson. Sometimes you can't control the situation. But you can influence the state from which you face it. When you are calm, you think more clearly. When you think clearly, you make better decisions. And better decisions create better outcomes. 9. Stop chasing people who disturb your peace. There are people you don't need to hate. You simply need distance. Maybe they constantly criticize you. Maybe they manipulate you. Maybe they only contact you when they need something. Maybe every conversation becomes an argument. Maybe you always feel exhausted after being around them. You don't need revenge. You need boundaries. A man once had a friend he'd known since childhood. But over the years, every conversation became negative. The friend mocked his ambitions. When he succeeded, the friend minimized it. When he failed, the friend laughed. Eventually, the man stopped sharing everything. He didn't announce a dramatic separation. He simply became less available. Less explaining. Less arguing. Less access. His life became quieter. Sometimes peace doesn't require a confrontation. Sometimes it requires a boundary. Your attention is valuable. Your time is limited. Your emotional energy is limited. Spend it carefully. 10. Don't let silence make you anxious. Many people are uncomfortable with silence because silence forces them to hear themselves. They need constant entertainment. Constant messages. Constant notifications. Constant conversation. But if you can become comfortable with silence, you discover something powerful. You begin hearing your own thoughts. You begin noticing what actually matters. You begin separating your desires from other people's expectations. A man once started taking a 20-minute walk every evening without his phone. At first, he hated it. His mind felt noisy. He wanted music. He wanted notifications. He wanted distraction. But after several weeks, something changed. He began thinking clearly. He realized which problems were real and which were simply worries. He started making better decisions. Silence had not given him new information. It had allowed him to hear information that was already inside him. You don't always need more advice. Sometimes you need less noise. 11. Don't make yourself available for everyone. Being kind doesn't mean being constantly available. Being helpful doesn't mean abandoning your own priorities. Being generous doesn't mean allowing everyone to consume your time. You need boundaries. Imagine someone who receives a message every time a friend needs something. At first, he always helps. Then the requests increase. Soon, his own work begins suffering. His sleep suffers. His personal goals suffer. Yet he feels guilty saying no. Eventually he realizes. Every yes to someone else's emergency can become a no to his own future. So he starts saying, "I can't today." No long explanation. No guilt. Just clarity. And something surprising happens. The people who respected him accepted the boundary. The people who only wanted access became angry. That taught him something. Boundaries reveal relationships. You don't need to be available to prove that you care. Sometimes protecting your time is one of the most responsible things you can do. 12. Accept what you cannot control. This is one of the deepest principles of calm. You cannot control other people's opinions. You cannot control their decisions. You cannot control the past. You cannot control the weather. You cannot control whether someone appreciates you. You cannot control every outcome. But you can control your effort, your attitude, your choices, your discipline, your response. A farmer plants seeds. He prepares the soil. He waters the field. He protects the crops. But he cannot command the rain. If he spends every day screaming at the sky because it hasn't rained, nothing changes. His energy is wasted. Instead, he focuses on what is within his control. Your life is similar. Stop spending your energy trying to control people. Focus on what belongs to you. Your work. Your character. Your response. Your next action. That is where your power lives. 13. Stop trying to win every moment. You don't have to win every conversation. You don't have to prove you're smarter. You don't have to prove you're stronger. You don't have to prove you're right. Sometimes the desire to win is actually insecurity wearing a confident mask. A secure person can walk away. A secure person can say, "I was wrong." A secure person can listen. A secure person doesn't need every room to recognize their intelligence. Imagine two people discussing a topic. One person realizes the conversation is becoming pointless. Instead of continuing, he says, "Maybe we're looking at this differently." Then he leaves. Did he lose? No. He protected his peace. Winning isn't always defeating someone else. Sometimes winning means remaining in control of yourself. 14. Use failure as information. Failure becomes unbearable when you treat it as an identity. You failed. That doesn't mean you are a failure. You made a mistake. That doesn't mean you're a mistake. You lost. That doesn't mean your story is over. A young entrepreneur once started a business. He invested months of work. The business failed. For weeks, he felt embarrassed. He avoided people. He believed everyone saw him as unsuccessful. Then his mentor asked, "What did you learn?" The question changed his perspective. He wrote down everything that went wrong. Poor planning. Wrong audience. Bad timing. Weak financial management. He studied each mistake. 2 years later, he started again. This time, he was different. His first failure had become his education. Calm people don't waste pain. They extract lessons from it. When something goes wrong, ask, "What is this teaching me?" That question turns failure into information. 15. Don't allow praise to control you either. Calm isn't only about staying composed when people attack you. It's also about staying grounded when people praise you. If criticism controls your mood and praise controls your mood, you're still being controlled by other people. Someone compliments you. Enjoy it. But don't become dependent on it. Someone criticizes you. Consider it. But don't collapse because of it. Your self-worth should not rise and fall like the stock market based on other people's opinions. A young athlete became obsessed with praise. When people applauded, he trained harder. When people criticized him, he wanted to quit. His coach eventually said, "You can't build your identity on applause." The athlete understood. From then on, he measured himself by his discipline. Did I train? Did I improve? Did I give my best? Those were the questions. External praise became a bonus instead of a necessity. That's freedom. 16. Learn to walk away without drama. Sometimes leaving is the most powerful response. Not storming out. Not announcing it. Not posting about it. Not trying to make people regret losing you. Just leaving. A woman worked for years in an environment that constantly drained her. She complained. She argued. She tried to convince management to change. Nothing happened. Eventually, she quietly prepared herself. She learned new skills. Saved money. Found another opportunity. Then she left. No dramatic announcement. No revenge. She simply moved forward. That's what calm power looks like. You don't always need to fight your way out. Sometimes you prepare your way out. And when the door opens, you walk through it. 17. Protect your morning. The way you begin your day influences the way you experience it. If the first thing you do is check messages, social media, arguments, news, and other people's lives, you give your attention away before your day has even started. Instead, create a calm beginning. Wake up. Drink water. Sit quietly. Stretch. Write your priorities. Think about what matters. Then enter the world. A man once changed his morning routine. For the first 30 minutes after waking, he stopped checking his phone. He used the time to plan his day. After a month, he noticed he was less anxious. He wasn't magically living a perfect life. He had simply stopped beginning every day in reaction mode. Don't start your day reacting. Start your day intentionally. 18. Speak less when you are angry. Anger creates temporary confidence. It makes you believe you must say everything. But words spoken in anger can create consequences that remain long after the anger disappears. A father once became furious with his son after an argument. He was about to say something deeply hurtful. Then he stopped. He walked outside. 20 minutes later, he returned. He was still upset. But he could think. He told his son, "What happened wasn't acceptable. But I don't want to speak to you in a way I'll regret." That sentence did something powerful. It demonstrated strength without cruelty. You can be firm without being destructive. You can establish boundaries without insulting people. You can disagree without humiliating someone. Calm doesn't remove your strength. It gives your strength direction. 19. Don't turn every problem into your identity. Sometimes people experience one difficult season and begin telling themselves, "My life is terrible. I'm unlucky. Nothing ever works for me. I always fail." Be careful. A difficult chapter is not the whole book. A bad week isn't a bad life. A rejection isn't your identity. A breakup isn't your identity. A failed business isn't your identity. A mistake isn't your identity. One winter does not mean spring has disappeared. When life becomes difficult, say, "This is what I'm facing right now." Not, "This is who I am." That small difference changes your mindset. Problems become situations. Situations can be addressed. 20. Build a mind that doesn't need constant validation. You become calmer when you stop asking everyone, "Was that okay? Do you like me? Do you think I made the right decision? Do you approve?" Of course, advice is valuable. But eventually you must learn to trust your own judgment. Imagine someone choosing a career. He asks 10 people. 5 say yes. 5 say no. Now he's more confused than before. The problem wasn't the advice. The problem was expecting other people to make the decision for him. Gather information. Listen. Think. Then decide. You are responsible for your life. You cannot outsource that responsibility. 21. Focus on what you can do next. When something goes wrong, the mind loves asking, "Why me? How could this happen? What if I had done something differently?" Reflection is useful. But endless rumination is not. A calm mind eventually asks, "What can I do next? Lost your job? What can you do next? Relationship ended? What can you do next? Business failed? What can you do next? Made a mistake? What can you do next?" That question moves you from helplessness to action. A man once lost his job unexpectedly. For 3 days he sat in frustration. Then he created a simple rule. Every morning, one application. Every afternoon, one new skill. Every evening, one useful connection. Within months, his situation changed. Not because he magically became lucky. Because he stopped staring at the problem and started working on the next move. 22. Don't confuse calm with weakness. Some people think calm people are easy to manipulate. They are wrong. A calm person can be extremely firm. Calmness doesn't mean accepting disrespect. It means addressing disrespect without losing yourself. Imagine a security guard standing outside a building. A man becomes aggressive. The guard doesn't shout. He doesn't insult him. He simply says, "You cannot enter this area." The man gets louder. The guard repeats, "You cannot enter." His calmness doesn't make him weak. It makes his boundary clear. You don't need anger to establish authority. You need clarity. 23. Make your life less complicated. Chaos often grows from too many unnecessary commitments. Too many people. Too many promises. Too many distractions. Too many possessions. Too many goals. Too many opinions. Simplify. A man once decided to reduce his commitments. He stopped attending gatherings he didn't enjoy. He reduced unnecessary spending. He cleaned his room. He organized his schedule. He stopped arguing online. He started saying no. Within weeks, he felt like he had more time. Nothing magical had happened. He had simply removed unnecessary noise. Peace isn't always something you find. Sometimes it's something you create by removing what disturbs it. 24. Practice being unbothered. Not everything deserves your attention. Someone doesn't like your clothes. Okay. Someone misunderstands you. Okay. Someone doesn't invite you. Okay. Someone talks about you. Okay. Someone doesn't recognize your effort. Okay. This doesn't mean you should ignore legitimate problems. It means you learn to distinguish between what matters and what doesn't. A man once heard that several people were gossiping about him. At first, he became angry. Then he asked himself, will this affect my family? No. Will it affect my work? No. Will it change my goals? No. Then why am I giving it so much attention? He went back to work. That's emotional maturity. 25. Your peace is your responsibility. Don't expect the world to become peaceful before you become peaceful. People will always be unpredictable. Plans will fail. Traffic will happen. Money problems will happen. People will disappoint you. Opportunities will disappear. Life will remain imperfect. Your job is not to create a world where nothing goes wrong. Your job is to build a mind capable of meeting what goes wrong. That is inner steel. Not a life without pressure. A person who can stand under pressure without collapsing. 26. Stop rushing your life. A calm person understands timing. You don't need everything today. You don't need success immediately. You don't need everyone to recognize you immediately. You don't need to become a different person overnight. Growth is often invisible before it becomes obvious. A tree doesn't become tall in one morning. It grows quietly. Day after day. Root by root. Ring by ring. Your character is similar. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you're building. Every time you choose silence over unnecessary conflict, you're building. Every time you choose patience over desperation, you're building. Every time you choose consistency over excitement, you're building. Don't underestimate quiet progress. 27. Keep your word to yourself. One of the deepest sources of confidence is self-trust. When you tell yourself, I'll wake up early. And you do. I'll exercise. And you do. I'll stop wasting my time. And you do. You begin trusting yourself. But when you constantly break promises to yourself, your confidence weakens. A man decided to make one promise. He would walk for 30 minutes every day. Not 2 hours. Not an impossible routine. 30 minutes. He kept that promise for months. Eventually, he began trusting himself in other areas. Small promises create strong identities. If you want inner calm, become someone you can rely on. 28. Don't chase closure from everyone. Sometimes you won't get an apology. Sometimes you won't get an explanation. Sometimes someone will leave without explaining themselves. Sometimes you'll never understand why they behaved the way they did. You have two choices. Remain trapped in questions. Or accept that some doors close without explanation. A woman waited years for someone to apologize. Every birthday, every holiday, every quiet night, she thought, maybe they'll finally explain. Eventually, she realized she was giving someone who had left her life permanent control over her emotions. She stopped waiting. She wrote her own closure. Not because what happened didn't matter, but because her future mattered more. You don't need everyone to explain themselves before you're allowed to move forward. 29. Become the calm person in the room. When everyone panics, become steady. When everyone complains, become useful. When everyone blames, look for solutions. When everyone shouts, lower your voice. When everyone rushes, think. When everyone gives up, continue. This doesn't mean pretending problems don't exist. It means becoming the person who can think clearly while problems exist. During an emergency, people naturally look toward the person who appears composed. Why? Because calm communicates capability. Your goal should be to become that person. The person others can trust when things become difficult. 30. Remember, calm is a daily practice. You will not master calm in one day. You will lose your patience sometimes. You will react sometimes. You will say things you regret. You will become emotional. That's part of being human. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is improvement. Tomorrow, pause 1 second longer. Next week, walk away from one unnecessary argument. Next month, become better at protecting your time. Keep practicing. Eventually, someone will try to provoke you and you'll notice something different. The old version of you would have reacted. The new version simply breathes. The old version would have explained. The new version stays quiet. The old version would have chased. The new version lets go. The old version needed approval. The new version trusts itself. And you'll realize you didn't become colder. You became stronger. Final message. So remember this. The strongest person in the room isn't always the loudest. It isn't always the person with the most money. It isn't always the person who talks the most. Sometimes the strongest person is the one who can sit quietly while chaos surrounds them. The person who can hear an insult without becoming an insult. The person who can experience rejection without rejecting themselves. The person who can lose something without losing themselves. The person who can walk away without needing revenge. The person who can say no without guilt. The person who can say yes without fear. The person who can breathe when everyone else is panicking. That person has something rare. Self-control. And self-control is power. You don't need to control everyone. You need to control yourself. You don't need to win every argument. You need to protect your peace. You don't need everyone to understand you. You need to understand yourself. You don't need to react to everything. You need to choose what deserves your response. The world will test you. People will test you. Life will test you. And every test gives you another opportunity to build your inner steel. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, pause. The next time life disappoints you, breathe. The next time someone misunderstands you, stay grounded. The next time you feel pressure, remember who you are. You don't have to become louder. Become steadier. You don't have to become harder. Become wiser. You don't have to control the world. Control your response to it. Because when you can remain calm in situations that once controlled you, you've taken your power back. Calm is not weakness. Calm is discipline. Calm is clarity. Calm is confidence. Calm is control. And above all, calm is power. If this message helped you, subscribe to Inner Steel. Here, we're building stronger minds, stronger discipline, and stronger people, one lesson at a time. Don't just listen to these words. Practice them. The next time anger rises, pause. The next time someone provokes you, breathe. The next time you feel the need to prove yourself, step back. And remember, the person who controls themselves cannot easily be controlled by others. Build your mind. Protect your peace. Stay calm. Stay disciplined. Stay silent when silence is wiser. And keep building your inner steel. I'll see you in the next one.